Okay, so saving money. It can feel kind of overwhelming, right?
Yeah,
Especially when you're trying to budget at the same
it
time.
really can.
It's like, I get it, saving is important, but sometimes just getting to the end of the month,
Yeah,
that feels like winning the lottery,
I
basically.
hear that a lot. Yeah, there's so much focus on like the huge investments and long-term stuff.
Right.
What about just like the everyday savings habits, the small things?
Exactly. That's what we're going to deep dive into today, this whole idea of paying yourself first, like making savings a priority, even if it's just little bits here and there.
It's such a powerful concept.
We've got two articles to help us out here. One's from Thrivent, and they talk about this 80/20 budgeting method.
Oh yeah, 80/20. It's a classic for a reason.
And then we got Investopedia, which is going deep on this whole pay yourself first philosophy.
Sound like a great lineup.
So to kick things off, can you break down what pay yourself first actually means? Like when we're talking about budgeting specifically.
Sure, so it's kind of like this. Instead of saving whatever's left over at the end of the month, which, let's face it, is usually not much,
Ugh, yeah, tell me about it.
you decide right off the bat how much you're going to save, and you do it before anything else. Before bills, before fun stuff, everything. It's almost like paying a bill, but the bill is to yourself.
Okay, I'm liking this already. And this ties into the whole 80/20 thing, right?
Yeah, basically the 80/20 rule is aiming to save 20% of what you make, and then the other 80% is for all your expenses.
20%? Woof. That sounds like a lot.
I know, it can seem daunting. But TT, the good news is you don't have to start there. Even 5% or 10% is a huge win, especially if you're consistent about it.
Consistency. Got it. That makes me feel a lot better. Yeah. Now, another question. Let's say, hypothetically, I am rocking that 20% savings rate. Where's all this money going? It can't just be floating around in the ether.
Definitely not. Think of it like having different buckets, right? Each bucket's for a different savings goal.
Buckets, okay. Like, give me an example.
Sure. Thrivent mentions retirement, like setting aside money for when you're not working anymore.
Makes sense.
Emergency fund, super important. That's for those just-in-case moments, unexpected car repairs or whatever.
Ugh. Yeah, those always seem to happen at the worst time.
They do. Travel saving up for that dream vacation. But honestly, the best part is you get to decide what your buckets are.
So, like, if I'm dreaming of buying a house
Yeah.
or maybe finally starting that business I've always wanted to.
Exactly. There's a bucket for that. Each time you save, it feels like you're getting closer to that goal, not just saving for no reason.
I like that. It's like purposeful saving.
Totally. And to make things even easier, Thrivent's a big fan of automating your savings. Like, set it up so it just happens automatically.
Automation. Oh, yeah. Like direct deposit splits or those recurring transfers where money just magically moves to your savings account.
Yeah. It's way easier to stick with saving when you don't even have to think about it. Out of sight, out of mind, kind of.
And less temptation to spend it. But real talk, what about folks who are like just scraping by? I mean, saving anything at all feels impossible.
And
Right?
that's a real struggle, and Investopedia dives into that, thankfully. Pay yourself first can feel out of reach if your budget is already super tight. But the thing is, even tiny steps can add up.
So even if it's just like $5 a week.
Yep. It's more about making it a habit, a priority, even when it's tough. I think a lot of people get stuck on this idea of, should I pay down debt or save?
Ooh, yeah, that's a classic dilemma.
Like, it has to be one or the other.
Right. Debt versus savings, it's the ultimate showdown.
It's tricky for sure. And to be honest, neither of the articles pretends there's this simple answer that works for everyone, because obviously it depends on the type of debt you have, your goals, all that stuff.
Okay, so no magic formula.
Not really, but there are some guidelines that can help, right? Like, for instance, having at least a small emergency fund is huge.
Oh, for sure. Just in case, like you said before.
Yeah, life happens. It's always better to be prepared for those unexpected expenses so you don't end up in more debt.
Totally. So even if you're dealing with debt, a little emergency fund should still be a priority.
Definitely. Now, when it comes to debt, the kind that has high interest rates, like credit cards, that's usually the one to tackle first.
Makes sense.
Because that interest can grow faster than any interest you'd earn from savings, sadly.
Ugh, yeah. Interest rates are the worst. So, bottom line, is there like a perfect way to balance paying off debt and saving? Or are we all just doomed to figure it out as we go?
I wish there was a perfect formula, but unfortunately it really comes down to your own situation, and that can change over time too, right? Maybe it's splitting your money. Some goes towards debt, some goes to savings.
Okay.
Or maybe for a while, one takes priority and then you switch.
God.
The key is you're making progress, no matter what. Like you're actively working towards your goals, whatever those goals might be. It really is a journey, not a sprint or anything. It's about those informed decisions, the ones that work for you and your financial goals. And speaking of, we were talking about those buckets earlier, where we're actually putting our savings. Maybe we should dive into that a little deeper, huh?
Yeah, definitely. We talked about having different buckets for different goals, but like, are all savings accounts created equal? Or are there,
Mm.
I don't know, fancier, more strategic places to put your money?
Ooh, good question. Choosing the right, what did you call it, container for your savings.
Container, yeah.
That can make a huge difference, especially for those long-term goals like retirement. Imagine this. You wouldn't plant an orchid in like a cactus pot, would you?
Probably not, no.
Each plant needs the right environment to thrive.
Right.
Same thing with your saving.
Okay, I'm with you. So what kind of pots or whatever are we talking about here? What are the options?
Well, for something like retirement where you've got time on your side, you might want to look into accounts like a 401k or an IRA. Those are made specifically for long-term growth, and they often have those cool tax benefits.
Oh, right. Thrivent mentioned something about an employer match for those retirement accounts.
Yes.
That's like free money, right? Too good to be true, almost.
It's a pretty sweet deal. Basically, if your company offers a 401k match, they'll put in a percentage of what you contribute. So your savings get doubled, just like that.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah, I definitely need to check if my company does that. But what about the other buckets, like for emergencies or saving for a down payment on a house? Those feel more, I don't know, short term, right? Retirement's way off in the future.
You're right, they are different. For those shorter term goals, things like high yield savings accounts or money market accounts are good options to explore. They usually give you a better interest rate than a regular savings account, so your money's actually earning a little something while it's sitting there.
So it's all about matching the type of account to how long you plan to save for. Short term, go with a high yield savings. Long term, like retirement, go with a 401k or IRA.
Exactly. And the great thing is you can have multiple accounts working for you at the same time. It's like building this diversified savings portfolio, each piece doing its own thing.
I'm feeling like I need to do a serious inventory of MY savings accounts now.
Huh. It never hurts to reassess.
I might be missing out on some serious growth potential here.
Maybe. Even little changes can have a big impact over time. But, while we're on the topic, gotta be real. The Investopedia article did point out some potential downsides to this pay yourself first thing.
Right. Nothing's perfect. What kind of downsides?
Well, one thing to watch out for is not getting SO focused on hitting your savings goals that you, like, neglect other important financial stuff.
Like actually paying your bills.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance, planning for the future, and taking care of your current needs. You don't want to mess up your credit score or get hit with late fees because you were too busy trying to save.
Okay. Balance. I'm sensing a theme here.
Huh. Definitely a theme. A lot of people think, oh, I'll start saving for real when I make more money.
Yeah, I used to think that.
But it's actually about building those habits early on, even if it's with small amounts.
Right. It's the small things that add up.
Totally. Investopedia also brought up the possibility of missing out on potential investment returns if you only stick with regular savings accounts. Because with low interest rates, your money might not keep up with inflation in the long run.
That makes sense. But I'll be honest, investing always seemed kind of scary to me. Risky. Much riskier than just saving.
That's true. Investing does come with more risk. But there's also the potential for much bigger rewards down the line, especially for long-term goals, like we were talking about with retirement. Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, those kinds of investments can help your money grow a lot faster than just sitting in a savings account.
I feel like this is turning into a whole other deep dive. We need a whole episode just on investing.
Huh. I think you're right. Investing definitely deserves its own deep dive. For now, though, I think the main point is saving is a really solid first step. Once you've got that foundation, then you can look into other options, like investing, to see if they're right for you.
Okay, I can get behind that. So to recap, we've talked about finding the right savings accounts based on your goals, the potential not so great parts of pay yourself first, and even touched a little bit on investing. Sounds like saving money is about way more than just, shoving it under your mattress.
It really is. It's about being smart and making choices that work for you and your financial dreams.
Being intentional, basically.
Exactly. And that brings us back to something we mentioned earlier, the whole mental side of paying yourself first.
Yeah.
It's not just about the numbers. It's a total mindset shift. It's about putting your future self first.
It's like saying, hey, future me, I gotcha. I'm taking care of you. It's almost, I don't know, like self-respect or something.
I love that. It's about recognizing that you deserve financial security and then doing something about it. You have the power to shape your own financial future.
You know what? It's like paying yourself first isn't just budgeting. It's self-care.
Ooh, I like that.
You're investing in your own happiness and peace of mind,
Yeah,
knowing that you're working towards a future that's, I don't know, more secure, more fulfilling.
it really is, yeah. Like when you feel good about your finances, it can affect like everything else, your relationships, your work, even your health. It all kind of ties together.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about something as basic as saving money, but it can have these huge ripple effects on like your whole life.
Yeah.
And, it's funny, we spent a lot of time talking about how W to save,
Yeah.
the strategies, the different accounts, percentages, all that stuff.
Right.
But what about the WHY? Like, why is this pay yourself first idea so important in the grand scheme of things?
Ooh, that's a great question. It's not just about, having a ton of money. It's about having options. It's about feeling secure and being able to do the things you're passionate about without constantly stressing about money.
It's about freedom, right? Like
Yeah.
the freedom to choose what you want to do, take a vacation, go back to school, or just have that peace of mind knowing you're prepared if something unexpected happens.
Exactly. It's like shifting from this feeling of scarcity to this feeling of abundance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. It's
Yeah.
like going from feeling trapped to feeling empowered.
Yeah.
And that starts with, like you said, putting yourself first when it comes to your money. It's like you're not just investing in your bank account,
Yeah.
you're investing in your own well-being.
Exactly. It's about more than just the numbers. It's about your whole financial health. And speaking of, we've talked about WHY we should save, but how much should we be saving? Is there like a magic number everyone should aim for?
Ooh, good question. I've always wondered that myself. Well, you hear those general guidelines like save 15% of your income, but I don't know, everyone's situation is so different. It seems like it should be more personalized?
Totally agree. And both of the articles we looked at emphasize that. There's no one-size-fits-all answer. It depends on how much you make, what your expenses are, your goals, all that. But I think it's less about hitting a specific number and more about building a sustainable habit.
So instead of stressing about saving like a huge chunk of my income right now, I should focus on finding an amount that feels doable and then just like build from there.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance where you're making progress without feeling like you're depriving yourself or getting overwhelmed. And honestly, sometimes those small, consistent actions are the ones that end up making the biggest difference.
It's like that saying, little by little, a little becomes a lot. I'm feeling pretty inspired to take a look at my own budget and see where I can, tweak things to start paying myself first, even if it's just a little bit to start.
I love that. And remember, every step you take toward taking control of your finances, that's a win. You should be proud of yourself.
Thanks. I think we covered a ton of ground today,
Mhm.
from the nitty-gritty of budgeting and saving to, like, the bigger picture of how our mindset about money can really change things. And honestly, I'm feeling way more confident about taking control of my own finances and creating a future where I feel, secure and free to do what I want.
It's been such a great deep dive, I agree. As we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about. We talked about the HRW of saving, why it's important to put ourselves first, and the freedom that comes with having your finances in order. But what does financial success actually look like for you? What does financial freedom mean in your life?
That's such a good question.
Yeah.
And I think it's one we should all be asking ourselves pretty regularly. It's not about like keeping up with the Joneses or chasing some definition of success that someone else made up. It's about creating a life that feels right for you,
Hmm.
where money helps you achieve your goals and live by your values. It shouldn't be a source of stress.
That's beautifully said. It's about finding that sense of balance and purpose when it comes to our money. And it all starts with taking those first steps, no matter how small they might seem.
So to everyone listening, we encourage you to start paying yourself first, even if it's just a few dollars each week. Make it a habit, check out those different savings options, and see what happens. You might be surprised at how those little actions can create this huge sense of security and freedom in your life. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and remember, stay curious.